I'm Peter Bois, nationally touring magician.
And I'm Gus Davis, nationally touring game show host.
We don't get regular Saturday nights because we are out performing on the weekends.
That's why Mondays are so special to us. They are our Saturdays.
We will help you get through your Monday by joining us on our Saturday.
Monday is the new Saturday.
Welcome to Monday Club.
Hey, all you millions of magnificent Monday maniacs out there, I'm Gus Davis with my co-host, as always, Mr. Peter Bois. Plus, we have a special guest in the studio this week. Mr. Jonny Zavant is joining us. It's going to be a great time. We cheers this week to some epic science and hip thrusting. We let Jonny loose and just to invade your ear holes, but, for the better. We talk zombie raccoons and how to stop them, some epic fails from our past, and of course, this week's teachable moment. Stick around, it's going to be an amazing show.
It's finally Monday!
Monday cheers!
Monday! Hey, there's an extra voice in here. Mr. Jonny Zavant is here today!
What up?
Oh, man. Before we get in it with Jonny, we are cheersing. We have a very special cheers of the week this week.
Oh, my God.
This, I have to say, I did not find. I don't even... How would you describe this, Gus?
Okay, look, I'm going to apologize to everyone right now. We try usually to find some cheers of the weeks that if your boss looked over your shoulder, you wouldn't get in trouble for. This one is on the borderline. It is a naked man who is exceptionally happy. He smiles through the entire
He has a bow
thing.
tie on.
He does
He's
have
not
a bow
fully
tie.
naked.
He has a yellow bow tie on and a large, loving smile. And it's a perspective shift. He starts off with one ball on a pendulum, and he gives it a little nudge so it's going back and forth. And then he scoots back, and then he finds the rhythm of the ball swinging back and forth. And then he just starts dancing naked with the ball covering all of his bits. I mean, that's basically what's happening.
Yes, the pendulum ball is covering his bits, and he's just kind of shaking his hips. He's got some good gyration going on there. I think.
Does. He's got some good rhythm. He's got some good technique on his hip gyration. But mostly it's his enthusiasm that I think earns him this week's Cheers of the Week.
I mean, like, in the entire history of the video format and as a medium, it took this long for this thing to happen. Like, it's amazing. Like, in one way, I'm amazed it took this long, but another, I wish it would have taken longer, because this is disturbing.
It's definitely a brain stain. It's definitely, once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. And I totally agree with you, Jonny. Like, surely there's like a 1939 black and white TV reel where somebody figured out that they could do this. I mean, it's not that difficult, right? It's not rocket science. It's literally a simple machine.
And
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think
before the Standards of Decency Act of whenever was passed, before that, movies were just in the late 30s or something, because they were raunchy and weird and just all sorts of crazy stuff, and then wait, this is way too crazy, we need to tone this down. And then that's when a lot of innuendo made it into movies, which is kind of great. Like the Mae West stuff. Is that a banana in your pocket? You happy to see me? No, that was a gun. Whatever it was, Google it.
Oh, man. I think his enthusiasm, like you said, Gus, on his face, he is super excited about this. I cannot get his smile out of my face. Out of my brain.
Yeah.
I cannot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like excitement. A performer. Like when you do something amazing, if you look bored because it's the 1,738th time you've done this trick, the audience is going to go, well, I guess I should be bored. But when you sell it with your enthusiasm, the audience can't help but go, man, this is incredible. I think that's what this guy's doing.
Yeah, you bring up a great point, too, and that is, I guarantee you this isn't take one.
Yeah.
which makes this even funnier, right? This is take, I don't know. I'm gonna say it's at least take 30. And each time he has to have the same enthusiasm, the same smile, and the same silly-ass bow tie. Just like...
And this is one of the times where I do not want the behind-the-scenes DVD extras.
Oh, no. The slip-ups are going to be epic.
Yeah.
Right, but I mean, how big does his monitor have to be? Because he backs up like 20 feet for the little dangling ball to cover the sensitive bits, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So how far away is his monitor? And two, how big does it have to be for him to know if he's getting perfectly in sync or not?
So
I
you
want to
bring
know
up
the
another
math.
good point. Yeah.
I want to know the math on the diameter of the ball you need to make sure you cover everything based on your personal characteristics while you're gyrating your hips.
Well, but that's exactly what I'm saying. Like somewhere, somebody took a measuring tape and measured it back so that he could have the perspective and did the math and figured out like, hey man, you're still a little too close. We're getting some hairy bits. Like take one more step back. Let's say, oh, that's good. Let's use this lighting. No, that lighting doesn't look good. Somebody had to figure all that stuff out for such a stupid...
It was the Greeks. The Greeks figured it out, like algebra, and then later on trigonometry, right? Trigonometry wasn't for ballistics and projectiles. No, it was for figuring out how far away you got to get before your dong is covered with a Newton's cradle ball. Like that's
you think Aristotle and Archimedes are sitting there going, "Yes, my son. Yes, that's what we were trying to get across."
Exactly. Well, I mean, Archimedes had 7 types of infinity in a book that was lost to history until fairly recently. I mean, that guy is so much smarter than anybody could possibly understand. Like, he's a genius. I think he knew the internet was coming and how bizarre gifts could get. And he was like, oh yes, my greatest achievement will be this dude just super excited to just shake his moneymaker back and forth.
Being covered by a pendulum of Newton's cradle. Yeah.
Momentum, orbital mechanics, like all this comes together. I mean, really, you know what? I really underappreciated just how genius this GIF is. And it's been going the whole time that we've been talking. Like, I keep like getting distracted by it. Like,
you're drawn to it. The movement is so.
It is.
And the excitement and movement is so perfect.
Exactly. I used to think that Jurassic Park was a load of crap. And you're like, oh yeah, T-Rex's vision is based on movement. I'm like, what a dumb animal. And this whole time I keep, wait, what is that? Oh, that's that guy just swinging back and forth. I'm less smart than a T-Rex, is what I'm saying.
We have gotten so far off track, and I freaking love it. Ladies, gentlemen, Monday Club, raise your glasses high to momentum equals mass times your junk swinging at a distance. Ladies and gentlemen, cheers.
Cheers. Oh, man. That means we have to second cheers to the Greeks. There we go. Second cheers to the Greeks.
Second cheers to the Greeks.
This week, Monday Club, I'm getting over an episode of food poisoning. That was a couple days ago. I will tell you more about that in Stories from the Road, but just know that I am doing better, and instead of drinking alcohol today, I have a lovely ginger ale on the rocks, so healing my stomach up.
Hey, way to be like, way to actually just own up to it and just be like, hey, I'm trying to medicate myself, Pete. Like, you got to do that from time to time. Sometimes you got to hydrate. Sometimes you got to drink the ginger ale. That's what you got to do.
I'm not.
Thanks for taking care of yourself.
It is. It's about self-love. I too was slightly under the weather with my stomach, but I didn't want to wuss out on you guys, so I made myself a Moscow Mule. It has ginger beer, so I feel like that'll help my stomach, but also a crap ton of vodka and lime juice.
It'll kill anything in there.
Yeah. It's my resetting fuel.
And you even got the copper cup. I love it.
Oh yeah, you got to have the copper mug. Yeah.
Jonny, do you have a drink for us today on Monday Club?
Right next to me, I've got Four Roses small batch Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey crafted from 4 select bourbons. Ooh. It's probably the ones that fell on the floor, and then they had to do something with them, so then they picked them up. But it's from Lawrenceburg, Kentucky, and I went to college in Kentucky, so that's where I learned I had to love bourbon. So that's kind of always been my drink of choice, is a bourbon of some sort. But I like variety of life.
Is a good one. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever had it. I'm going to have to give it a go now that you got the recommendation.
Yeah, it's economical. It's not going to set you back, and it's a blend, so it's solid. It's not going to go too far off the reservation. So yeah, money wise, it's a solid bet, and flavor wise, it's rock solid. Yeah.
Nice,
man.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening to Monday Club. We love that you're here in the clubhouse with us every week on Mondays. Make sure you tell a friend about what we're doing. We want to grow the club, make it nice and big and large. We can put additions onto our clubhouse. We have carpentry skills. We can take some 2x4s and put up a couple more bedrooms and another game room. So tell your friends, give us a little love up on iTunes, give us a rating, preferably 5 stars. That always helps to spread the word. Check us out on our website, MondayClubPodcast.com. There's an email sign-up sheet that you'll stay up to date in everything Monday Club. Or if you want to buy us a drink, we do accept donations. Drink offers at MondayClubPodcast@gmail.com. You can PayPal us there with what you want us to drink, and we will go out and buy that and talk about it on air and tell you if we love it or hate it. We're on Twitter and Instagram, Monday Club Podcast, and we're on Spotify and YouTube.
Hey guys, you've been hearing the exciting voice of Mr. Jonny Zavant on this episode. I think it's time that we go ahead and introduce Jonny. Jonny is a mentalist, a skeptic, a designer, an entrepreneur, a kung fu artist, basically an all-around badass. If you need something done, Jonny is in the top 10 percentile of just gonna kick it in its ass. I use Jonny as my secret weapon. Anytime I call Jonny Zavant, he knows that it's like something is either completely frogged or that something's going to be completely epic. And usually there's no really distinction between those two. It's all going to work itself out. I've been with Jonny at some of the best of times in my life and at some of the worst of times in my life. I think he can say the same thing for himself.
Same.
And I think all of our Monday Club audience should get to know him both on this episode and to continue that relationship by looking him up. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to our friend, Mr. Jonny Zavant.
That's everybody clapping for you. That's the Monday Club world.
I love that sound.
Thank you so much for being on, man. We appreciate it.
I'm so happy to see you guys again. It's been forever because we both, just get so involved in life and adventures on the road, and even in this age of easy connections, it's still difficult to stay in touch.
That's literally one of in the top 4 reasons why we started doing this podcast was Pete and I were like, if all else fails, the worst thing that happens is we've made time to hang out. We're like, oh, yeah, it makes sense. Pretty good. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. So
I love it.
Dude, so before we get into just some random questions, I have to say that, man, quite literally some of the worst times that I've ever had in my life, I look at those pictures in my mind and you're there. And some of the best times that I've ever had in my life, I look at those pictures
Not
and you were
because
also
I'm there. But we just happened to be, yeah.
One of my favorites, I got to just go ahead and get this one out of the way. One of my favorites is Jonny totally randomly happened to come over to my house. This is years and years and years ago, back when I was doing the balloon business. Mm-hmm. And we were talking and hanging out and throwing some ideas back and forth, and I was telling him about this convention that I had coming up. And he was like, oh, when's that convention? And I looked at my calendar, I was like, oh, it's in 2 days. Huh. That's sooner than I remember it being. And he was like, well, where is it? And I was like, let me check. Oh, it's in Boston.
Boston, Massachusetts.
Huh. So I ran the numbers. I was like, it's a 27-hour drive to Boston. Huh. That means I need to have left yesterday. And Jonny looks at me and he says, no, it means that we need to leave right now. I'll go with you. And we'll just drive it straight. We can make it to Boston in 2 days if we just don't stop. And I was like, All right, dude. So we quite literally I threw a couple of clothes in a bag. I left my house. We went and got my truck and trailer, and we drove from Austin to Boston. And I think that on Google it said it was like a 27-hour drive. I think we made it in 28 and a half hours.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, the total time stopped was like an hour and a half from that distance because we both had our job to do. Whenever we made a pit stop, we did everything. It was just like Formula One because we'd stop and then
get gas.
Like, one of us would run tires. In, pee, get stuff, throw it on the counter as the other guy was fueling up, and then run in and pee, and then buy the stuff, and then jump back in the car, switch, and then go. But man, yeah, that was an amazing experience.
But it didn't stop there. It didn't stop there because we get to the conference and we made it. We made it in time to load in.
We just rolled up like it's time to load in.
Yeah, that's the downside. We made it in time to load in. The downside is it's time to load in and start a full day of conference. So we did another 18 hours of sales after that.
And
then I believe we went out and had a whole lot of Jack and Honey.
Yeah. But what was really weird for me was, like, at the time, you were, like, the Marvel Comics of that world, right? Like, everybody knows who you are in the brand that you're representing. Like, it's the brand. I'm just some lackey. Like, I'm your buddy that just goes, hey, let's do this crazy adventure. So it would be like, so I'm behind the counter, and everybody's asking me questions that I'm supposed to know, right? Because I'm the guy behind the counter. It would be just like going to a comic book conference, going to the Marvel booth and going, Spider-Man in episode 176, there's this detail that I want to know about. And the Marvel representative going, now Spider-Man, he's the one with like red and blue, right? So everybody was like, who's this moron? Like, what idiot do they have here? I was like, listen, man, I know how to push buttons on this register. Give me your money. Don't ask me questions.
Oh, it's funny because when we left to go on this adventure, our goal, Pete, our only goal was to get there and get there alive. That's all we cared about. And we got there, and it was like, yay, we did it. And then wait. I'm like,
now what?
Wait, I haven't trained you on how to do anything here.
We were way too busy singing loud with the air conditioning on, trying not to die in a construction zone with the lanes way too small with a big-ass trailer full of, like, $40,000 worth of product. And we're like, well, don't wreck this.
That's crazy, because if I drive, like, 6 hours, I always leave, like, an hour extra for lunch. And
there's
whatnot.
No time for
you guys
lunch.
left an hour and a half for 27 hours worth of driving.
For a 27-hour drive, yeah. Anyway, man, I had to say that on air. That was one of the best and worst of times in my life, and I think we agreed we were going to get matching tattoos for crossing the midpoint of America without sleeping.
Yeah, it's still on my list of things to do. But yeah, I've got exactly the same sentiments. Like, you've seen me at my absolute lowest. Like, when I think back, when I'm like, okay, rock bottom, hitting so hard I bounced, you were there taking a picture, be like, okay, remember this moment. You never want to be back here. And then I was back there, and then you took another picture and be like, okay, don't get here again.
I think that's... Pete, I think when you are with somebody and you literally see them at their lowest point and you pull out your phone and you take a picture of them and you're like, I'm saving this one so that you remember what it feels like to feel this crappy. That's a sign of a good friend.
Yeah.
So when you're at what you think is your new low, you can show them that picture and say, remember this, and then you feel better about yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So besides being an amazing driver and partner in crime, and one of my I've talked to you about this before. One of the things I find most interesting about your past and is you're a skeptic. You worked with James Randi at the James Randi Educational Foundation. What is that, if for people who don't know?
James Randi is kind of one of my mentors and one of the most important people in my life who kind of there's before I knew him and then after I met him. It's just kind of that big of a difference. He's an old-time magician. Like, he was an escape artist, and he took Houdini's playbook and went, I can do this better. And he would hang upside down from a helicopter over Niagara Falls to get out of a straitjacket. He was a jailbreaker, all that kind of stuff. He was on Happy Days. He was on The Carson Show like 30-plus times. And the second half of his career was kind of a critical thinking advocate, because in the 70s, there's this guy, Uri Geller, who claimed to have the real mojo. And Randi was just like, I can't abide this guy abusing the love of my life like this. But he's lying, he's a fraud, he's cheating people.
He's playing magic that, like, it's real actual superpowers.
Exactly. So they kind of became two titans that were just going at it. And they kind of helped each other become great, right? So every hero needs a great adversary. So they kind of became each other's adversaries. Well, Randi, he started a challenge saying, look, if you've really got the mojo, all right, prove it, and I'll give you $10,000, right? Well, that challenge is for the professionals who are cheating people, and they know that they're cheating people, right? So that's kind of Randi's checkmate, going, look, if you really got the mojo, why don't you do this challenge and you get a bunch of money and you revolutionize all of physics and science as we know it, and it'll be great. And it's a great tool of saying, listen, put your money where your mouth is. And there's this dude who was like, you know what, Randi, $10,000 is a good start, but why don't we just make it $1 million? Like, let's just make it $1 million challenge.
So $1 million challenge. If you can come prove to me some supernatural powers, you get $1 million.
Exactly. And that guy is smart enough to know that money is safe, right? So it's just kind of his way of saying, Randi, I love your work. You're amazing. You're an incredible mind. He's won the MacArthur Genius Grant before.
Oh, wow.
Like, he's phenomenal. And the $1 million was kind of there as an investment, and then kind of help run the foundation off the interest and all that good stuff. Well, he came to my college to do a lecture, and at the time I was just kind of doing magic tricks, and I was interested in the mind reading stuff, but it was still just a hodgepodge of magic. I hadn't really specialized yet. And he came to do a lecture on my campus, so I wound up cutting class for 2 days to hang out with him. And he just grilled me the whole time. He'd be like, okay, down in Fort Lauderdale where the foundation is, I did this weird thing where I set up 2 projectors, one with the red film, one with the green film, and a pendulum between them, and in the racquetball court of the foundation. So what was I doing? What the hell are you talking about? Right? So I was like, okay, red and green, those are kind of the 3D glasses colors from back in the day. So were you trying to make like a 3D shadow? He's like, yeah, that's it. Okay, here's the next one. And he just grilled me the whole time. So I guess I passed, but I remember distinctly just sitting next to him. It was a quiet moment before he's going in to talk to a psychology class or whatever. And I realized, if I wait for him to offer me a job, it's never going to happen. I have to be the one to ask for it. So I just looked at him and went, hey, Randi, over the summers, do you need any help at the foundation, like sweeping, organizing paperwork? I don't care. I'm sure I could set something up through my college to get college credit for it, and it won't cost you much. And he's like, yeah, you're hired. And that's how I got to work with him.
I've never heard that story about how you got hooked up with Randi. That's crazy.
Yeah. But the thing was, like, this challenge, the professional frauds know they're a fraud, and they know that Randi knows, and that they could never trick him. So they're never going to apply for it. But to be a legitimate challenge, it needs to be open. So the only people who would apply to it are people who really think they've got the mojo. And most of these people don't have anything else going for them. Like, they're in tough spots. They're in a challenging situation. And this is kind of the one glimmer of I'm special that they have to hold on to. So you get these applications that are 80 handwritten pages about when the moon is in the third house of whatever, these spirits talk to me, and I've got 3 of them, and they're named this, that, and the other thing. And it's just like, this sounds a lot like schizophrenia.
Right. Oh, wow. Was that your job going through the applications?
Yeah.
Whoa.
So that was my job there, was to get the certified letter envelope would show up, and then you get people calling, I sent it certified, you should be getting it in the mail right? Because they are
you would think
totally
you would know if
convinced.
I got it or not.
Right, exactly.
You've already failed.
You shouldn't have to
start
send
that
it.
conversation off by being like, hey, so you should have just opened it.
Yeah.
You have my attention.
Right, be like, go on. So yeah, it really was depressing. Like, after a while, like, once the novelty wore off, it really got depressing of just these people, this is their only thing. Like, there was one guy that sent in multiple videotapes of him just driving around the city that he was from, waiting for the streetlights to go off. And then he would go, see, it went off. See, there's evidence that I'm causing it. And it's just 4 hours of him driving around in the middle of the night talking to this tape.
Wow.
Like, and that's
like
his
YouTube
evidence
vlogs.
of yeah, but this is way before YouTube, which I wish I had those tapes. That would be gold. But yeah, so like, I would put on the tape and have it going all day as I was working, right? But the stipulations were, tell us what you can do under what situation with what percentage accuracy. Just those 3 things. It should take you 2 paragraphs. That's it. But most people couldn't even do that. So that's what I say. They would send 80 handwritten pages with coffee stains on them and stuff. So I would just print out the form, highlight the place where it tells you just say these things in 2 paragraphs, and then mail it back to them. Mm-hmm. And then you'd never hear from them again.
Oh,
so
wow.
Did you actually design some of the tests to help decide or prove scientifically one way or another?
I didn't really need to, because nobody could even get past the here's what I can do. Like, nobody could specify their claim to the point where we could design a pass-fail double-blind test to evaluate it.
Wow, so
it was so rare.
You never got to test anybody?
No.
You were never there when they were tested?
Yeah, because the 4 summers that I worked there, not one person got it together enough to be able to coherently explain how we could design a double-blind test. Listen, there's one guy who claimed to be able to sexually arouse people without them knowing it was him. Right? Like, that's God. The crazy bullshit that they would... It's like, yes, I have the power to sexually arouse women at a distance. And we're like, there's no ethical way to test this. Like, what kind of rapey bullshit is this? Like, no, you don't get, we're not going to be associated with this, you piece of crap. Yeah. It's like,
that's an incredible claim.
Yeah, it is.
That's the level of insanity that you're dealing with. And you kind of have to, you don't have to, but I really wanted to treat everybody with respect, except that weirdo. But everybody else, like, you've got to treat it like they're genuine, right? You can't ridicule them. You can't be like, okay, dum-dum, here's yet another person going, okay, I know you get this all the time, but I'm the real deal. I'm gonna win it. You're like, that's what every single person says, including the, I know everybody else says this, but I'm the real deal part of the everybody says this. Like, right. It was so weird. It's exactly the same thing over and over and over. So Randi is a superhero for being able to make an entire career of interacting with these people every day, all day long, he just gets those emails. Hey, I'm the real deal. You're not going to believe this. And he's just like, it's just a different packaging, same flavor every day. And not himself going crazy.
Yeah, how do you
That's
keep
insane.
your patience with these type of people keep barraging you? And you think for $1 million, what was the $1 million? That was up since the 80s, 90s?
Yeah.
Something like that?
I think, yeah. But I mean, like, Randy started the challenge, I think, like, in the 60s, 70s, something like that. So it was around for a long damn time.
So they probably got some people that thought they could scam him that knew they were fake more in the beginning of the challenges until they realized, like, oh, this guy's legit. He's finding us out. And then it turned into just the really wackos towards the end.
Exactly. Because that's really it. Like, there was this woman from Russia who claimed to be able to read with her fingertips. Now, here's a really cool point. You have to design the test so that the person who's trying to trick you feels comfortable trying to trick you so you can catch them in the trick. Huh. If you design the test in a way that they know that you're onto them, they're just going to go, well, I'm just not feeling it. So really, to kind of get them, you need to design it in a way that they feel like you can't get them. Mm-hmm. So you've got to outfox the fox. So this is a perfect example of just how genius Randy is. So she would have this kind of open-ended box. It's very flat and deep, and you would put a dollar bill way in the back of it, so she could put her arms in, but she would have to like lean down to peek into the box to be able to see the dollar, right? Mm-hmm. So this way, it's just kind of an isolation booth that she can put her arms in, and then supposedly read with the fingertips, right? So Randy made this box, had 2 cameras, both on the audience side of things. So that way you've got full coverage of what's going on from start to finish, right? So there's no tricky editing you can do. It's 2 cameras side by side. There you go. So she puts her hands in and and she's blindfolded, right? So she's blindfolded and puts her hands in, and she's starting to do the thing. Like, she's actually able to read with her fingertips, and it's amazing. And Randy goes, okay, knowing that, how did I catch her? You're like, can I get some more information, please? He's like, nope, that's it. So I started noodling on it. I was like,
I'm not coming up with the answer, that's for sure.
All right, so here's how she would do it, and then here's how he caught her. So the box is wide enough that she can just kind of, using her elbow without moving, she would push the dollar to the edge to where she could peek down her nose through the blindfold and actually see the dollar. But since you're on the audience side, the box is hiding how close to the edge it is.
Okay.
Right? So she does that with a book, whatever it is. So she's just peeking down her nose and then reading it and then putting it back deeper in the box where you wouldn't be able to see it.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay.
But how do you make her comfortable enough to be able to do that and then still catch her? Well, the 2 cameras are both going the whole time, but one is visible light, the other one is infrared. The box isn't black plastic, it's clear plastic with a red and green film that make it opaque to visible light, but transparent to infrared. So you see her, it's just like X-ray vision.
Wow.
So you see her scooting it back, and then seeing her tilt her head up to peek down her nose, and then putting it back at the front. Like, that's how genius Randy is.
That's incredible.
Man, that's kind of like the original Penn and Teller Fool Us.
Exactly, with $1 million on the line.
Not just like, a trophy.
If you've got $1 million on the line, you're gonna take those kinds of precautions. But that's why I was like to say, I saw all the ways that people were trying to scam their way to the $1 million, and thought, I can do those scams better than they can, and that's how I created my show.
So you were talking about
master's class of mentalism. Yeah,
that's so cool.
That's awesome.
You talked about life before Randy and life after. I don't think I've ever told you this, Johnny, but there's my life before Johnny and my life after Johnny. There was a conversation we had that it was at a restaurant. We were hanging out, and you were the person after that conversation. It tipped the scales of me going to be a skeptic and atheist and stop believing in religion and God and stuff. And
really,
I don't think I ever told you that. So I wanted to tell you. And we were at a restaurant, and we were talking, and you just kept making good point after good point. And at that time, I was getting farther and farther away from believing in God, but you were just making so many good points, and I couldn't refute them. And then I just ended up saying, well, I just believe in God because otherwise I feel like the whole world is meaningless. And you just smiled and looked at me and did your head shake. And then,
like he's doing it right now.
Right now. And that was it. And you just left me with that in my own words. And then we went on to talk about other stuff. And I couldn't get that out of my head. I'm like, I just made up a crazy reason to believe in God. So I sat with that for a few days, and then I finally realized, well, I guess I can't do this anymore. And so it was after that conversation.
Well, thank you for telling me that. I am responsible for destroying the last vestiges of any meaning that you had in your life. I feel like I've accomplished something with my life now. Thank you.
Meaning. I found new meaning. Good. New meaning.
So that's the cool thing. Like when you kind of own up to the fact that we're only alive this time, man, it takes on a lot more meaning to me. It's kind of like I only have this one time to get it right, to atone for all my sins, to be not a douchebag. So let me try to live this one life as well as I can and leave a good legacy of, no, he didn't suck too bad.
Yeah, you were pretty
Johnny,
good.
You started off, didn't you do like debate? Like weren't you on like a debate team and like critical thinking basically is what I'm trying to get at, has always been a big part of who you are. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I grew up as a visual communicator. Like I've always been a painter and a drawer. Like I've always been interested in art. And a lot of times growing up, I wouldn't be able to find the words to explain the thought that I would have. I'd just have to draw a picture. And it was really frustrating because in junior high or whatever, I'd be talking to my friends and I would have this idea, but it would take me 2 days to learn how to decode the image that I would see in my mind. And then I would go, hey guys, you remember that conversation we were having 2 days ago? No. Like, damn it. So I realized, I go, you know what, if I'm going to be a performer, because I really kind of got started on that track when I was 13, learned how to juggle, and then juggle fire and hammer nails up my nose when I was 13. So I was like, this is cool, but I really don't like talking to people. So I realized,
well, you're doing a great job. Good work.
Well, thank you. But that's it. Like I realized, well, look, if I'm going to do this and do it all the time, I'm going to have to know how to talk in front of people. So I dropped band. I played tenor saxophone for a couple years, and I dropped band to make room to take debate because I knew that I had to force myself to be in situations where I'm going to need to think on my feet and be able to structure a coherent argument and just communicate as a human being. So I did competitive debate for 6 semesters in high school. Like almost every Saturday, I was at a debate tournament. I wasn't good at it, but I got really good at talking in front of a group of people. So that was kind of my conscious training of going, this is a skill I need, and I need to learn how to do it. What's the best way to do that? Take debate class. And the debate teacher was just phenomenal. He just broke my damn brain apart and then put it back together. And that's really my introduction to critical thinking and evaluating claims and structuring arguments and having conversations that actually matter. And that's been a skill that's just been useful for the rest of my entire life.
So I have two things on that, okay? First one, and don't let me forget this, is talking about your new direction that you've been going in for a while with your Think Like a Mind Reader program, all right? So don't let me forget that. But on those same notes, I remember one time I was having an argument with my significant other at the time, and we were just fighting and fighting and fighting all the time. And I remember I got a book called The Art of Verbal Judo, and I got it, I think, from you. I think I might have actually gotten
that makes
book from
sense.
You. Yeah. Anyway, I was reading it because I wanted to learn how to have arguments better. And it was one of those books that you have in your collection that was like, hey, I think maybe this will help you guys be able to at least come to an argument in a way that diffuses the anger and just gets out what you're trying to get across. And I remember I was reading that book, and as soon as you start reading something that's educational like that, you immediately try to apply those skills. it's like yeah. I got a gun. Put me in the Army, coach. I'm ready, right?
Right.
So I started trying to apply those skills, and I remember she got so pissed at me, and she was like, "You're cheating in our arguments." And I was like, "What do you mean I'm cheating in our argument?" She's like, "I can see you trying to manipulate the argument in a way that makes it where what you're saying is right and what I'm saying is crazy." And I was like, I don't think that's true. I think I'm just using all the tools that I've been able to gather to make what I'm saying, at least in a structured way, that is trying to be helpful for this conversation. And
right.
And I remember that was just such a weird impasse of, like, I don't think using other people's knowledge and tools and ideas is cheating. I think the better you arm yourself, the more tools you arm yourself with, like taking debate, like doing all of the things with Randy, the better... I guess the better prepared you are for going off into a direction that you kind of choose, a making of your own making.
A great point to that is that's Kung Fu, man. That's Kung Fu, because if they're used to having their way and you not being able to defend yourself, suddenly when you've got some boundaries that you can now enforce and they're used to transgressing those boundaries, they're going to be the one that hits your boundaries. So you're not doing anything to them, but now that they can't transgress your boundaries, it feels like you're hitting them. And they go, well, that's not fair. You're not supposed to be able to hit back. You're like, I'm not hitting you. I'm just holding my fist in the air, and you're the one that's running at me. You're literally hitting your face on my fist. I'm not putting my fist on your face. And if you didn't try to attack me, I couldn't be hurting you. But that's the thing. Anytime people are used to you not having boundaries and you suddenly get boundaries, they're going to blame you for hurting them when it's really their bad behavior. And that's how that plays out in the intellectual arena too, is once you can start defending your ideas and presenting them in logically consistent ways and not allowing them to really do their own form of judo to get you off track and you always do this, right? And go, no, we're not talking about that. We're going to stay on this topic, right? Anytime that you now increase your skill level, right? You just added a +5 to verbal dexterity. They're gonna get upset at you for not letting them take advantage of you.
Right. The grayed out option is now available to you.
Right.
That's
Exactly.
the way I felt in our conversation. I felt like I took a huge swing at you, and you just moved out of the way, and I fell on my ass in our conversation. I was like, wow. That's exactly what happened, I feel like.
I only do that with people I respect. I'm not going to have an argument or a really intense discussion with people that I don't respect. If I know that they don't respect my time, I'm not going to respect their time and give them my time and thoughts and ideas. It's only because I knew inside and out that you were meeting me face to face and you were invested in the conversation. You weren't there to make a point. You weren't there to argue and gotcha kind of thing. It was like, you know what? I really am interested in this topic and I want to talk to you about it. Like, all right, let's go. Right. So I never want to be a bully with logic and all that stuff. It's just I only will have these kinds of conversations with people that I genuinely care about. And I always want to do it from a place of love and treating people with respect. Because if I didn't respect them, I would just lie to you and go, oh, yeah, totally, I'm a believer, and I'm a Aries, Aquarius, cusp, whatever bullshit, right? Like, if I'm actually willing to sit down and have a conversation with somebody, it's only because I love and respect them. And I want to do that with as many people as possible. It's just the instant that somebody shows me that they don't respect me, they don't get my truth.
All right. Well, that's beautiful.
Cool,
I think that's exactly.
Does that kind of lead into your next project you've been working on, the Like a Mind Reader brand, and what is that all about?
Yeah, so I started a thing because we know how valuable thinking like a magician is, and sideways logic and thinking around corners and coming up with really weird, interesting solutions to really complex problems. Right? So we understand, as kind of the in group of magicians and mystery entertainers, how valuable our problem-solving skills are and how good we are at it. But as an audience member, they have no idea what kind of thinking goes into creating these experiences for people. Right? Just, It looks like magic. They're like, oh, it's so effortless. No, I spent years of my life making it look like I'm doing nothing. Like, that's really damn hard, right? So there's a couple different things, because I saw how there were so many business gurus saying, I understand the psychology of marketing. I understand the psychology of networking. I understand the psychology of sales. And every time that I would look into their content, they would talk about a concept or a principle and then tell a story about how it played out. But not one person could actually demonstrate the principle in action. And then I realized, holy crap, I know this stuff. I can demonstrate it with these mind-reading routines, and then not only demonstrate it and perform it and involve the audience, but now I can explain not only how it happens, but why human beings are wired to make it possible to happen in the first place. Right? Mm-hmm. So magicians and mentalists have a unique insight into how people make their choices. And that's it, right? I always like to say that business is relationships with dollars thrown in. Relationships are nothing but communication skills. The better you get at communicating, the better quality relationships you can have. So that's why communication skills help all of your relationships. Romantic, professional, business, whatever. And magicians, we are uniquely qualified communicators because we perfectly communicate lies. And to do that, we have to study the truth so thoroughly that the lie is indistinguishable from the truth. But most people think, well, I use words and I talk with my face hole, so therefore I'm a good communicator. Like, no, that couldn't be any farther from the truth. Right. So, Like a Mind Reader is my project to teach people how to blank like a mind reader, communicate like a mind reader, negotiate like a mind reader. Because I always like to say, well, how would your business be better if you could actually read minds? They go, oh my God, it would be this, that. And they go, well, I can teach you how to get those results without actually having to be psychic or be a mind reader. So that's why I started likeamindreader.com to be my hub for all the different stuff that I do. Because I basically see three arms to my business and how I kind of generate value for the world. One is the entertainment, right? That's what I've been doing my whole damn life. So if you want me to come in and just blow people's minds and leave them laughing and stunned, that's what I can do. If you want me to be a speaker, I can speak and deliver content in a fun, engaging way. And then third, I can train people how to apply these techniques in their business and their world. So that's kind of my kind of big project, teach people how to blank like a mind reader. So yeah.
I think, dude, that's awesome, man. I think one of the biggest points that all of us have a magic background, and I think one of the biggest points that I get all the time is when you make the mistake of teaching somebody how to do a trick because they've either been hounding you or the stars align. It's like, oh well, yeah, let me, I'm trying to be nice. Let me show you how that works. Almost 100, I'd say 99% of the time, their response is, oh well, that's kind of stupid, or oh, you just cheated. a little bit. And it's funny because when you think about it, you're like, I mean, sure, but it's not how that trick worked that was important to your life. It was the entire experience leading up to you asking how did that work that was important. Everything after that is just it's the little bits, right? It's the backstage view, and that part's not really that interesting. So yeah, man, I can totally see how your life lessons, your kung fu, your debate, your mentalism, your ups and your downs, how all that can kind of come in and create that brand of Think Like a Mind Reader, man. That's really a cool concept.
Well, I want to talk to that point that you said where people are like, you just cheated. I've now learned that I have to warn people, listen, if you really want me to explain how this specific routine or trick works, understand that you're going to go through the 5 stages of grief. Because your magic, your appreciation for magic is going to die. Okay? So if you're ready to go through the grieving process, here we go. You tell them how it works, and the first thing is denial. That'll never fool anybody. Right? Like, motherfucker, it just fooled you.
Right.
Like, I used to work at a magic shop at Universal Studios for like a year and a half, and people would see the trick and then buy the routine, walk around the park, read it, and then come back and go, this will never fool anybody. Like, it just fooled you $50 worth.
Right.
You just bought it, dum-dum. So they do denial. Like, no, this will never work. Then there's anger. You think I'm stupid for how this works, right? You think I'm an idiot, right? Then there's bargaining. No, it had to be some other way, right? There has to be something that you're not showing me. Then there's depression. Oh, man, this magic stuff isn't nearly as cool as I thought it was. Then there's finally acceptance. You know what? This actually is kind of cool. I could see myself doing this, right?
And then they put it on the shelf and never do it again.
Right. Or they throw it out and say, yeah, it's kind of cool, but not me.
It's not for
right.
me. Yeah.
But I always like to say, sell the magic, not the string, right? Because so many people are focused on what is, right? Okay, it is a string. That's how I make it do the thing. It's just a string. And they go, well, that's stupid. But what the string is levitation. It's wonder. It's the challenge of what's real. It's defying gravity. Right, so that's why I always like to say reality is better than fantasy. Imagination is better than reality. Because with imagination and work and effort, you can build your reality to match the thing that you imagined being real. Right? Because every single thing created by human beings was created twice. First in the mind, your imagination comes up with it, then you put in the hard work to make it real. So I'm not so interested in what is real right now. I'm interested in what could be real with work and the right effort, right? So that's the power of imagination and magic, because magicians, we see what's possible. We imagine things that have never existed before and then figure out, you know what, we could make this work with a really stupid mechanism, right?
It is so stupid. It is, the easier it is, the better it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying, listen, folks, you can be the magician of your life or be stuck in the audience. If you're in the audience, it's impossible. But it's clearly not impossible because the magician's right there doing it. He's on stage. To the magician, it's just another day at the office to do the impossible. Right? So the longer that you tell yourself, no, this thing I want to do isn't possible, and this other thing, no, there's no way to make that happen, well, enjoy your life as an audience member instead of taking ownership of the incredible things you can create with your life.
Yeah. See, this is why I love our conversations with Jonny, because they always end up very... I walk away being like, yeah, I know some smart stuff, too. I'm smart, too. Hey, we have some news that we need to talk about, don't we? This week in the news.
Zombie raccoon!
Zombie raccoon!
Zombie raccoon!
Holy crap! I didn't realize there were zombie raccoons. So, Youngstown, Ohio, police are investigating zombie-like raccoons in Northeast Ohio. This is insane. apparently raccoons are getting close to humans. They're standing up, smiling, and then falling back on their backs.
In the daytime.
That's
the freaky part.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because raccoons are nocturnal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the reasons why this is an important piece of news, Monday Club, is because I don't know if you heard the title, but it says zombie raccoons. Period. QED. End of paragraph. Zombie raccoons. But two, Jonny, since you're on this episode, man, I got to say that every time I've ever been in the car with anyone for an extended period of time on tour, the ideas of zombies always come up and how to survive a zombie apocalypse. Do you have your own theory on like how you're going to just survive right out the zombie apocalypse, man?
I'm well armed. That's it. But with stuff that doesn't need to be like no ammo, right? Like I sleep next to a tomahawk. I've got like
a tomahawk,
machetes.
that's a good one.
Yeah, well, it's really good for home defense.
I always think the spear would be the best zombie because you can do it from a distance and you can bring it back and you get the jabs going. I feel like you can keep them away from you.
I think
Exactly.
if they're slow-moving zombies, I think spear is pretty good. I think we can all agree that lightsaber is obviously your weapon of choice.
Oh yeah. If I had my druthers, it would definitely be that. But take a note from the Spartans. You've got your long-range weapon, the spear. Then you've got your kind of longer sword, and then you've got kind of a dagger and up close and gnarly situation. So you want to cover all ranges. Right, so you want the kind of long distance, reach out and touch them. Something got past your spear, so you got to hack them up with the sword. Yeah.
Yeah, I
always prepared.
I always thought, I agree with you. I always thought guns, things that shot ammo, stuff you'd need to replenish, was such a poor choice when people are saying, I'd go with a sawed-off. I'm like, oh, how much ammo can you pack on you while you're running away from zombies, right? That doesn't make any sense. You got to go old school. You need pointy things.
Yeah, get a good K-bar and some parachute cord, make your own spear out of a sapling, and you're good to go.
You heard that. So, Monday Club, we got to finish off the zombie raccoons of this week in the news, because here's how this is basically shaken out. In Youngstown, Ohio, they have shot and killed, 17?
14,
zombie raccoons? 14.
As of this posting.
Yeah, 14 zombie raccoons have been put down. If you see a zombie raccoon in your area, or if they start to spread, you heard it here on Monday Club. Just beware of the zombie raccoon. Spartan up, like Jonny said, and we'll ride this zombie apocalypse out together, Monday Club.
I'm going to get a tomahawk.
Hey, it's time for Stories from the Road.
So I teased my ailment early on. Guys, I got food poisoning.
Ooh.
I know. It's so lame.
Again?
Yeah, again. If you listened way back, I don't remember what episode I told you about. We talked about that time when I got food poisoning and Gus rushed me to the ER in Texas. And this happened again at another booking conference. So I was in Minnesota this past weekend, and Friday, I don't know if I've mentioned this, but I've been going vegetarian. So I've stopped eating meat mostly. I like to call myself 90% vegetarian because I like bacon on occasion. Sue me. Okay,
Bacon's
bacon.
Delicious. No, bacon's delicious.
And so you think that going vegetarian, that might be safer in the food poison, place in that little scenario? Apparently not. Friday afternoon I had a spinach salad, and then ever since eating that spinach salad, an hour or two later I started to feel a little off. My stomach had a couple cramps, and I just felt off for the rest of the day. I woke up the next day, Saturday, still felt a little off, more cramps in the stomach, and then it kind of got progressively worse all day Saturday. And then Saturday night, I'm at this college booking conference, and I'm right before everyone comes in and starts to talk to you and wants to potentially book your show. I run to the bathroom. I start getting shivers and sweating, and I run to the bathroom.
You poor
and,
bastard.
I'll let you imagine what happens next, but imagine the worst case of food poisoning you can possibly have coming out of every orifice in my body.
That was the most expensive bathroom visit you've ever had.
You're talking both north and south, aren't you?
Oh, yeah. All equators and poles were happening there. It was awful. And then I get myself together and actually get out there right after it begins. And this happened 3 or 4 times in the hour that I was standing. I would be talking to people that potentially wanted to book my show, and I just looked at them as they started to disappear because I started getting tunnel vision and getting queasy and ghost white. I was literally ghost white. I just said, "Excuse me, I'm not feeling well. I need to go to the restroom." And I just walked away from them, like mid-sentence practically, and continued the carnage in the bathroom.
I left the deck of cards on the table. Find your card amongst yourselves.
It's in there, I promise.
Oh, my God.
So I've been recovering. Oh, and then I had a 6 a.m. flight on Sunday, so I get back to my hotel room around 11:30, 12, and I'm like, luckily, I have to say, my friends, I know you guys would totally have my back if you were there, as you did before, Gus, but my friends Salish and Josh McVicker and Nash Fung, shout out to you guys. They like packed up my booth for me while I was keeled over, just kind of like holding my stomach, and I'm like, no, put that there, no, that goes there, no, that goes there. And they were so sweet to me. They're like, whatever we need to do, and they packed up my booth and got it to where it needed to go, and so I could go back to my hotel room and get a couple hours of sleep. And I tried booking a later flight, but there were no other flights available. And eventually, I made it home. I almost passed out on the airplane 3 times, but I didn't. And now I am drinking ginger ale today. Hopefully, after tonight's sleep, I will feel 100% again.
Well, here's a Pepto-Bismol cheers for you, sir, for making it through your conference.
Thanks. Yeah, that was a rough one. That was a rough
bet.
one.
Wow.
I bet. We're sorry, bro. We really are. I hope you feel better real
Thanks,
quick.
man.
Johnny, do you have a story from the road?
Okay, I'm going to give you guys dealer's choice. A story about how I got booed by 2,000 people.
Ooh.
Or my story of food poisoning from the road.
Both. So let's we're gonna save that story for an after show story, so people can log on for that one. So I'm gonna throw this one to you again, like we started it from the very beginning. All right.
Perfect.
God damn, that was funny, Johnny.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
All right. All right, man. Johnny, do you have any stories from the road?
I do. I would love to share the time I got booed by 2,000 people.
Oh,
if that would be all right.
That sounds painful.
Oh, it was. It was a national conference, just like what you're talking about with the food poisoning. And this is like your concentrated booking time for the whole next year. Like this one weekend is basically the time to fill your calendar for the whole upcoming 12 months. And it's really important. And what's even better is to get a chance to do what you do in front of everybody, right? So I got a showcase spot, and it's awesome. It's a national showcase. Phenomenal opportunity. And this is the first one that I got. And I asked the silent partner in the agency to be there. Like, he's an old timer, and he's like, yeah, I'll take some notes and give you some pointers and stuff. And Banachek was there. Right, so I specifically asked. He's a huge mentor of mine, and I'm a huge fan of his.
A big name in the industry too.
Yeah,
Big
so
mentalist.
he's important people in the mentalism world. So he's in the room, right? Well, it's sound check. It's like 8 a.m. for a 2 p.m. performance. You got to be there early to do the sound check. So I do the sound check, and one of my pet peeves is the sound guy at every show. Because it's like they always want to add to the performance, so they're always like tweaking levels and stuff. So you just get weird feedback out of nowhere, or they mute lines.
Yeah, it's once you get it set in pre-show, don't touch the damn board. We don't need to adjust what's been perfectly aligned already.
Exactly. And then you're in the middle of the show, and then you see them like fiddling, and you're like, what are you don't need to do that.
Yeah.
But you can't do that in the middle of your performance, so you just have to wonder what fresh hell they're unleashing on you, right? And just like that's in the back of your head while you're I'm doing my show. I'm not paying attention to anything else except that guy back there, right? So I God, and it's always really frustrating when they mute your microphone because they don't understand that you know how to flip it on and off. Right. So they introduce you, and you walk up, and you're like, "Hey, everybody, welcome," and it's muted, and then you look like a dum-dum.
Right.
But you're the person that is the lightning rod for everything going wrong. So it's kind of their screw up, but it reflects on you. So that's why I was like, listen, if you just don't mute anything, keep my laptop that runs all the music from the show, keep that unmuted. And please keep my microphone unmuted because I have to turn it on to make announcements before the show. So we just set everything and forget it. My job is to make sure you don't have a job. And I will tell everybody that I put you through the ringer and threw you so many curveballs that you just knocked out of the park. I will sing your praises if you don't touch that board at all. Like that's kind of how I try to get him to do that. Well, it's sound check, and I go through that whole thing.
There's
and the guy's like,
there's a fine line with the sound people because if you say that to them, they might feel a little insulted because they think they know what they're doing.
You don't think I have anything to do here? Right. Oh yeah. Because then they might go out of their way to screw you over. So you've really got to read that situation and be like, listen, man, I just want you to be able to have a sandwich, right? Because it's super simple tech. It's fine. Just do nothing. So I had that talk with the sound guy for this national conference, and he's like, bro, I got you. I'm a professional. This is what I do. You don't want it muted? I won't mute shit. You got it. Whatever you want, man, I'll give it to you. And I'm like, awesome, fantastic. So we do the sound check, and it's all golden. So I don't want to leave my laptop, so I take it with me, and then I come back and set everything up. And so it's now showtime, and I'm about to go on. And the person announcing me, please welcome to the stage, mind reader, Jonny Zavant. I click my heel to start the music, the walk-on music. Nothing happens. Oh, like this. Oh, come on. So I click my heel again. Still nothing happens. I was like, oh, okay. Anyway, so I walk up on stage like, hey, everybody, all right. So for me to do what I do, I'm a mind reader, so I need minds to read. How about you? Come on down. So she's coming down, and I click my heel to start her walk-on music, and nothing happens. And I'm like, it's still muted? Come on. Well, you know what? I can't think about this. I've got to focus on the performance. That's it. Now, the trick I was doing is a pseudo mind control routine where it's like, okay, I've got a blue deck of cards and a red deck of cards, and I'm going to have you select one of them. And I'm like clearly gesturing with the blue deck, right? I'm trying to get you to pick one of these. And she picks the red deck, and I'm like, no, any one of these. And then she picks the blue one. I'm like, exactly. It doesn't matter. They're both rigged exactly the same. It doesn't matter. But the gag is that I'm trying to influence her, right? Well, we're going through, and I show her some cards, and she remembers one of them, and I'm dealing down in her deck, and while I'm dealing down, this wall of sound hits the audience, and it's her walk-up music, I recognize, and it's just louder than anything. It just, wham! And 2,000 people just go, huh! Right? It's totally jarring. And I whip my head, look off stage, and I see 4 techs around my laptop. And then I realized that some jerk didn't plug the laptop into the sound system. And I'm that jerk.
No!
Oh, no!
Right? Like, I realized that I never plugged it back into the sound system. Well, my show controller program infinitely plays the song in a loop until I specifically tell it to fade out. So that way, if it takes somebody a long time to walk up, nothing happens, right? Because if it ends 20 seconds early, then that's really awkward, right? So what had happened was I triggered my walk-on music. It plays, but it's not connected to the sound system. I click my heel again. It fades out my walk-up music. I click my heel a third time. It starts her walk-on music, and it's just playing.
Yeah, you never stop it.
Some tech walks by and goes, oh, his laptop's not plugged in, and he wants it plugged in. So they plug it in. The guy at the board didn't have the line muted, like I specifically asked him to.
Uh-huh.
So I'm the jackass here. Every single tech understands that I'm the jackass.
Right.
So then I go, hey guys, give it up for the tech guys who are working hard and making the show run so well. Now imagine you're sitting in the audience and the music just blared out of nowhere. The performer looks off stage and then throws the tech people under the bus.
Right.
Let's give it up for the tech guys who are doing a good job. Oh, yeah. Right? And then I realized that, wait a minute, the audience just could have interpreted that as me being a jerk instead of genuinely saying, hey, thanks for taking care of me.
Right.
Yeah.
And I go, no, really, it's... Anyway, get back to the trick. And I forgot what, card I'm dealing down to, but I'm like, I think it's this one. And turn it over, and it is her card. It really is her card. And I go, is that your card? And she goes, no. Now, she's amazed that it's her card, but the audience just takes it as her going, no, how did you screw this up?
Oh.
And then I realized...
She had no way! And instead of being...
No, right, it wasn't a no way, it was a no.
Yeah, okay.
Right? So it was a disbelief instead of a disbelieving amazement. Right?
Right.
So it read as a no, you just messed this up. And then I go, no, really, is that your card? And she goes, what? Oh, yeah. It looks like I just browbeat her into just playing along.
Oh, no.
So okay, thank you so much, and send her back. And then I bring up 3 people for this next thing, and
pause. Do you have the flop sweats at this point in time?
Full on flop sweats.
Okay, all right.
I've sweated through my shirt, it's dripping off my face.
Okay, all right.
And she's disgusted looking at me.
Right.
So
okay.
yeah, I've got the flop sweats, and my hands are shaky, and all this, and I'm having recursive out of body experiences. Of going, I know what the audience is seeing, I know what I'm seeing, I know what the tech people are seeing, and I'm trying to get everybody on my side of the experience to... Okay. So I bring up 3 people, and it's this thing where they can think of anything they want, and I frame it as a scientific double-blind test, just like from working at the JREF, right? That's the thing. And I miss it, just completely. I've never messed it up this bad. I'm going to talk a little bit in code. I'm supposed to be seeing one thing, and I see absolutely nothing. There's nothing on the page where I'm supposed to be seeing something. Mm-hmm. So I now know I'm flying without a net. And I miss 3 out of 3 times.
I'm cringing in my
me
chest.
too.
I'm having a heart attack for you in reverse.
Yeah, because the first one is I have them think of a 4-digit number, and I was so flummoxed by what had just happened that I didn't even remember the 4 digits I'm supposed to remember when I have the chance to remember them. So I only get 2 out of 4 right, and then I totally whiff on the second one, and the third one's just I got nothing, and it's supposed to be a drawing. So I make this goofy-ass drawing, and then go, okay, what did you draw? And then they say it was a hedgehog. So I'm like, close enough for government work as a joke, right? And that was the little bit of permission that people needed. And little did I know, there were military entertainment bookers. The people that booked the USO tour and MWR tours were there in the audience.
AKA government workers.
Yes, government workers. So when some jerk misses every single trick, and not even in a fun, entertaining, haha, this was fun way, in a just ugly fat sweats kind of way. So I was close enough for government work, and they were nope, we are not having any of that. Boo! Boo! And then everybody else goes, you know what? This is the appropriate way that I can express how I feel about this entire dynamic. I too shall boo. Boo! Boo! 2,000 people start booing. And I'm like, what? No. Like, my dad was in Vietnam. My grandpa was under Patton in artillery in World War II. My brother jumped out of airplanes in the 82nd Airborne. And I read minds for a living. No, I love, like, oh my God, no. Thank you. Good night. And just, like, walk off.
Oh, man. Oh, my God. I feel so horrible.
Oh, my God.
Johnny.
I totally forgot.
Any more cringing.
But it was even worse because the timer that tells you how long you have, when I first walked out, it was like 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second, 0, and just stayed at 0.
Oh, they didn't even have the timer on.
Right, the timer didn't even work. So if you go 30 seconds over, they cut off your mic. If you go a minute over, they turn off the lights, which would have been embarrassing. So I didn't want that to happen. So I was really freaked out about that, right? Wound up, I went 20 minutes instead of the 15 that I had allotted. Because the show controllers were like, well, you didn't have the timer, so we didn't feel it was appropriate to punish you for our mistake, so we just let you go. And that means that my 15-minute nightmare really was a 20-minute nightmare.
So you had, like, the best tech people trying to help you out, and the best show controller person in charge trying to help you out, doing... man. And you had, like, three misunderstandings.
Let's wrap this up in a nice, pretty bow.
Uh-huh.
As painful of an experience as that was, what was the end result of that experience?
I got booked to perform at 13 bases in South Korea. What happened was the follow-up, she remembered, oh yeah, I remember seeing you. But she didn't remember why she remembered seeing me. I was bulletproof. Like, I no longer fear failure. Even if you fail spectacularly, as long as they remember your name, I'm golden.
This is proof that you just need to show up.
That's
just
right.
Show up, man.
Just show up. Show up to the party, do your best, and then it's all in the follow-up.
Yep.
Wow.
Well,
that's
Johnny,
an epic story.
That was an epic story. And because of that epic story, we have a surprise for you, my friend. We do. So,
should we do a drum roll?
What?
In just a second. You'll know when. Know when.
Okay.
So I've known Johnny since for years, maybe 10 years now. And for a long time, Johnny's promo used to say, I will be voted Psychic of the Year 2017. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
when
it's
I
funny.
came up with that was forever from then.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
I came up with
10,
that like
10
2008.
Yeah, exactly. And then the closer 2017 got, I remember you being like, well, I don't know, this needs to kind of work itself out. Well, listen, Johnny, you spent your time coming on Monday Club. You dropped a whole lot of knowledge on us, and we were thinking of ways that we could say thank you for spending your time with us. And so, Pete, Monday Club has voted you Psychic of the Year 2017. We are qualified to do it. So look, man, you are getting a trophy. It says Jonny Zavant, Psychic of the Year 2017. We will mail you this trophy. It will be 100% legit, my friend.
Oh,
you can keep this in your trophy case forever. It's done. You did it, man. You made it.
Yay! This yes, thank you so much. Like this, wow.
Best psychic entertainer in the world. He did it. He predicted
you listening out there in podcast land may not appreciate just how long this gag took to pay off. Like this. Well, I am. Thank you for following through on a 10-year running gag like that. Thank you.
Listen, man,
that really means the world to me. That you. I love you guys. Thank you.
Man, if there's one thing we can do is it's beat a gag till it's completely dead and then follow through with it. So you're welcome, my friend. Let's give one more big round of applause to Mr. Jonny Zavant for joining us today.
Oh, we should teach you some things real quick, huh?
Let's do it.
Teachable moments. You got to take a picture of that, put it on Instagram for everyone to see.
Oh, I definitely would.
Oh my god, I'm gonna put it everywhere. Everywhere. That is the best thing ever. My
teachable moment this week, more of a recommendation. I just started watching the HBO series Crashing by Pete Holmes. It's amazing. I love that show. I'm already through season 1. You guys should check it out. It's really hilarious. In season 2, there's a little surprise for all these people who do those college booking conferences. You watch that episode and you'll either laugh your ass off or cry and need a bottle of vodka to go with it. So
nice.
So yeah, check it out.
All right, my teachable moment is this: if it works, then it's not stupid. And I think I take a lot of inspiration on this one from Mr. Jonny Zavant. I think one of the things Jonny does better than anyone else in the entire world that I've ever seen is be comfortable in awkwardness, and because he knows that eventually it's all going to kind of work out in his favor. And so this past weekend, with that in mind, I was mowing my grass, and I found one of those big painter dusk masks that covers from right under your eyes all the way down through your chin and seals it up. And I was like, every time I mow my grass, I get allergies. I start coughing and sneezing and all of that stuff. So I just put that on, and I had no shame. I was just mowing my grass, looking like I was out at ground zero. And I felt a little stupid, but I also was like, whatever, I'll be that stupid guy who looks stupid but does not sneeze all weekend. And my neighbor comes running out of his house, and he comes up to me, and I stopped the lawnmower. I'm like, "Hey, man, you okay?" And he's like, "Dude, I just wanted to say that mask is genius. I don't know why I've never thought of that before." And then I was like, "Oh, hell yeah, bitch!" So anyway, it was total vindication for me looking like Sub-Zero mowing my front yard, and yeah. So that's my teachable moment. Don't be afraid to look stupid, especially if you have a good reason for it.
Outstanding.
Nice. Johnny, do you have any teachable moment you can impart on Monday Club?
Yeah, don't be afraid of starting conversations with strangers, because everybody's a stranger until you know them, right? And look for common ground and find a connection, and suddenly you got a new friend somewhere. I remember it was for your bachelor party, Gus. We were all in Vegas and were about to ride the Link Casino's Ferris wheel, right? And there's the elf there at the entryway. I was like, "Hey, how's it going?" Started talking to this woman who's dressed as an elf, and in 3 minutes, I'm like, she goes, "Oh, I run social media for this other performer." I'm like, "Oh, I used to be on the same roster as that guy." So we traded numbers, and you and CJ were just sitting there going, "How the hell do you do that?" Like, I don't know, just say hi to people, meet, and find connections. So, yeah, don't be shy. I used to be shy. Don't be like me. Be like me now. Outgoing.
And with that, my friends, we're going to close this episode of Monday Club. You guys be safe. Have fun out there this week, and we will see you next time in our tree fort. Have a great Monday.
Yeah. Have a great Monday. Thanks for being on, Johnny.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Hands down, favorite thing ever. You guys are phenomenal, as people, as performers, as friends, as professional people. I can't say enough good things about you guys. Thank you for being in my life.
Oh,
we love you, Johnny.
I'm blushing.
Oh. And thank you, Monday Club. You guys are absolutely amazing. Make sure to check out Johnny's website, likeamindreader.com. Get to know him. He's a fun guy. Also, make sure to check us out, mondayclubpodcast.com, facebook.com, Monday Club Podcast, Twitter, @MondayClubPod, Instagram, @MondayClubPodcast. Email us or buy us a drink through PayPal, mondayclubpodcast@gmail.com. Special thanks to James Caldwell, our sound engineer, and of course, Mr. Zach Holder for our music. We love you guys. See you next week.